Hey guys, welcome back to Friends and Enemas. My name is Lindsay. I'm your host, and I've got my lovely husband with me today, Jared.
Yeah, you've quit even introducing me as like a special guest. I'm just
Co-host.
I'm just here now. I don't
You're
know how
here
it
now.
happened.
You're
Yeah,
gonna be pretty much here unless it's a solo episode. Solo episodes are a little awkward for me though. I'm
hard
not
to
gonna lie.
just sit and talk about something for 45 minutes.
Literally to myself and the camera, but that's probably gonna come soon because I've had a couple requests for more solo episodes, but I'm like, wow, it's a lot of pressure. If you guys are watching on YouTube, I look like utter shit. Because I'm sick, okay? I'm so sick. I don't know what happened. It's a little bit of jet lag, a little bit of
Probably a lot of jet lag.
yeah, I think I'm just sick though. Like I feel like shit. I
Mm.
haven't shit. That's a huge thing. I'm nauseated. I'm awake all hours of the night. I slept like 12 hours yesterday. Jared's up doing his thing, freaking gym, golf, like a normal human, and I'm on the verge of wanting to vomit or have diarrhea, and I don't know which.
My issues came like the last 2 days of our actual vacation. I was my bowels were liquefied.
Ugh. Well, if you didn't know, your bowels were liquefied. I'm jealous.
No,
I would like liquefied bowels at this point.
yeah, and Taco Bell.
And Taco Bell. I don't. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, that's why I look like utter shit. Okay, so we're gonna get over that part. This is what happens sometimes. I wish you guys could see my dog right now. He's like really in tune with what we're doing. I have to get a picture of him. So if you guys didn't know, this is the last episode of season 2. Before we take a little break, prep, get some guests in line for season 3, which I have some really exciting guests for season 3. I wanted them on season 2, but like, damn, our life was so busy during season 2. We were on a contract. It was a lot. So I wanted a lot of other people, but they're gonna be on season 3, and I'm really excited for that. Um, as per usual, keep sending in your requests for like themes or things you want to hear about or topics, whatever. We're trying to hit them all. But yeah, this is the season finale.
Yeah, and this episode kind of came about from some recent TikToks you've been doing that have been pretty well received. So I'm guessing this is pretty universal what we're going to talk about today.
Yes, so today's topic is new grad stories, and I did one of these episodes on season 1 as well, but these are a little more playful, and I say playful because they're embarrassing. This is embarrassing new grad stories. This is one of my favorite topics in nursing because I feel like not enough people talk about it. And people are typically embarrassed. They're worried that the word's going to get out that they fucked up. But if you really think about it, we all fuck up. Me especially, but a lot of us do. And I love talking about it. I think it's hilarious. Obviously, disclaimer, I'm not laughing at the patient, okay? Some of y'all love to comment that shit. That's not what I'm laughing at. Usually in these scenarios, the patient is a-okay. And this is just a reminder that we are all human. We are not robots. We are trying our best. And everyone starts somewhere. Critical thinking does not come easy. And that's what a lot of these stories have in common. But they also just show that, once again, you're not alone. You're not the only one going through this. Something I love to tell students or new grads is you're not dumb. You're just overwhelmed. And these stories really throw that out there. Like you're not dumb, okay? You're literally the most overwhelmed you've ever been in your life trying to take care of a human and do the right thing. So
A lot of these are just like a rite of passage, or what some of the ones I've seen. I don't know everything that you're going to be reading today, but some of the ones that people have written in about, it's a mistake that everybody makes at some point,
yes,
and you're super embarrassed, and people are usually rude to you about it, and it makes you, and you never forget it.
you
don't
never
ever make a
forget
mistake
it.
again.
But like, if you're anything like me, you look back and you laugh at yourself or you cringe.
Yeah.
But you never forget it and you move on and you teach others too. If you're like me, if I get a student or a new grad, I love teaching them, hey, don't feel stupid. This is what I did. And that's pretty stupid, So like, I don't know. It's a rite of passage, like Jared said. But with that in mind, I want you guys to keep sending in your new grad stories, specifically embarrassing ones, even, but you can send them all, uplifting ones, things that happened to you, anything. Send them to fande@leadhealth.com. That'll be in the description, or DM me on Instagram or TikTok. If you DM me your stories, you need to headline it with new grad story so I don't lose it. I get a lot of DMs, and sometimes I'm scrolling through, I'll see, oh, new grad story, and I'll click it because that's the way I can kind of filter through them. Keep sending them in because these are just a handful of hundreds I have.
Yeah, and I think they're nice, and I think that it resonated with people because it's fun to laugh at it, but I think it makes a lot of people feel seen or less alone. Like there's a lot of people that think that they're the only one that's not getting it,
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
the only one that's struggling,
Oh, yeah.
and it's hard. I mean, your first, especially your first 2 years of nursing,
It's
it's you
isolating.
feel lost the whole time. You don't really have all your disease processes down. You feel like you're reacting instead of being proactive about stuff, and so it's stressful in the first place, and
Right.
then you add some personalities and a bully or two on top of that, and
It's stressful.
it's a tough
It's
couple years.
possibly some of the worst times of your life as a nurse. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And sometimes it's the best. But we're going to jump right into these. This first one I added because it literally goes with 2 episodes ago. We had Anna the nurse, one of my best friends, labor and delivery nurse on, and this is exactly what she told me she did. And I laughed at it because she's not the only one that's done this before. So I'm going to go ahead and just read them. I've kept these all anonymous, even if your name was attached, because I just think they should stay as anonymous as possible.
Yeah.
So here's the first one. I work in OB. When checking a patient's cervix, I accidentally put my fingers in her bum hole. she she had an epidural, so things were kind of numb down there, but she definitely gave me this quizzical little look. I just exited her bum hole, changed gloves, and went back down there to find her cervix like nothing happened. That just cracks me up because that's exactly what Anna told me that she did. How often is this happening that
Dude,
we're having?
L&D's is just a whole different animal.
It's just so funny. Like,
Yeah.
they're like trying to keep them as relaxed as possible because I'm sure labor is like the one of the worst pains ever.
Hmm.
And you just casually go up their ass.
Yeah, and I guess it's you think like, how on earth does the patient not know? But then they have epidurals, and so
Yeah.
they don't really know. They might feel pressure
Yeah, they're like,
in a
what's
different
up?
spot, but I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, I'm completely numb, so it just feels weird.
Right.
And but yeah, I guess I never thought about it, but you're not gonna like pull all their stuff off and be like, let me get down there and look. You're
No.
just kind of
You're
reach
going
down there
under the
and
drape or
yeah, so you
under
don't
their
bother them as
gown.
much. But
Exactly.
yeah, the
That one's pretty harmless, I would say. Like, yes, you went into the wrong hole, but at the same time, like, I would hope it. Anna told me her version of her story, and she told the patient just like laughed it off.
yeah.
You would hope that they would just laugh it off because it is like pretty harmless. It's
Yeah,
an accident and it
it's
doesn't
like
harm them.
you miss by an inch or two, and you're in disaster land.
I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
The next one, not mine. Also, some of them that start like that, I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. That's we get it. It wasn't you. It never was any of you guys. These are all made up.
not mine. But a friend of mine had a student nurse who was in their last semester completing their preceptorship. We worked in an LTAC at the time. She took the student into the patient's room to administer meds through a peg. Those of you that don't know, because I do have some, sorry, side note, I am going to be explaining what some of these terms are because there are non medical people listening to this. So, an LTAC is a long term nursing facility. And she took the student into the patient's room to administer medications through a peg. A peg tube is a tube that goes to your stomach, pretty much.
Hmm.
The student crushed the meds and got everything ready. Okay. But when he went to push the first 30 mils to flush, he went for the Foley catheter and attempted to attach the syringe to the hub on the catheter tubing. She politely corrected him and showed him where the peg was. He then went on to attempt to administer sub-Q insulin into the peg. Like literally was about to push the insulin out of the needle into the opening where the syringe attaches to the peg.
Oh.
It was concerning to say the least. Okay, so a couple things. Peg tube is literally a tube that just goes straight to your stomach instead of putting anything in the patient's mouth. It has to go through the peg tube. Insulin is sub-Q. Sub-Q means through a little tissue, a little fatty tissue is what
Subcutaneous.
subcutaneous.
Yeah.
We find a little piece of fatty tissue and that's where the insulin goes. We do not put insulin in a peg tube or in someone's mouth or anything like that. So there's a few things that are wrong with this.
Oral insulin.
But again, like, you know, it is concerning to say the least, but I'm also like if I get a student, I am curious when they were going through nursing school, was it during the pandemic? Because clinicals were not the same.
Yeah.
Worldwide, they were not the same. So like we can't really judge these students and these new grads that are coming in right after COVID. They did not get the same clinical experience that we did. And even if they did, you still make some mistakes like this because you get so in your head that you're like, someone's watching you. The patient's watching you. Your nurse is watching you. You're shaking. You're trying to breathe. Like there's so many things. So I feel so bad for the new grads.
Yeah, and I think that their clinical setting was online, obviously, and I think it was like this like proctored like virtual reality thing that was kind of thrown together because the students couldn't go to the hospitals. So yeah, you miss a lot of stuff. You can't in that type of thing. It's going to be more how would you react, and it's like a text reaction.
Right.
You don't see like you don't actually grab the syringe, you don't grab the lower lock or anything like that, and so that. Yeah, I mean, I could totally see something like that happening.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't fault them super hard, you know.
And to be fair, a single lower lock syringe can fit like 6 different ports on certain patients. You know,
Right.
it's the same one that goes to, you know, it can interface with the Foley catheter, and it can go to the central line, and it can fit on the tip of the high-low.
Right.
Yeah,
And
it's there's a lot.
also, like connecting to the Foley catheter, I think it's more so they don't have the gown fully up, and they see a tube and they see a port. So I think because if you have the gown up and you're choosing the Foley catheter over the peg tube,
Right.
yes, something's wrong. I'm guessing they're trying not to disturb the patient, and so the
Yeah.
gown
It was a port sticking out of the
port
blankets.
sticking out,
Yeah.
which shows you should tell the patient, hey, I need to fully see what's going on down here. Like, but
Trace your lines.
trace your lines, people. The next one. Hey, lay down. Lay down. My dog is like real invested in this story. It's because I have this Powerade bottle. He's obsessed with bottles. Sorry. Next story. My very first day off orientation, my patient coded while the doctor was placing a CVC. I informed the doctor that the patient's heart rate dropped to the 30s, and he asked me if the patient had a pulse. When I went to feel for the carotid, I was so scared, I literally told him out loud I couldn't tell if it was my pulse or the patient's pulse I was feeling. The doctor rolled his eyes and he started compressions. I was mortified.
Oh, yeah, that's tough. And that's not even like because it is whenever you're like, especially if it's the first time you've ever done it or anything like that, you can put your hand on the carotid and you can palpate and everything like that, but if you don't feel anything, you're like, what if I'm in the wrong spot? Yeah. And then I say that there's no pulse and there's a pulse the whole time and we do all this different. Yeah. So I can see how you would freeze there. That's something that just comes with time. You got to screw it up once. You have somebody a little more senior than you that kind of shows you how to do it. It happens a few times through your first couple years, and you get to feeling more comfortable.
Yeah, and the doctor's placing a central line, by the way, which is pretty invasive line, like for people that don't know. So like they're at the bedside, they're at the top of the bedside, probably at the neck, or I don't know, it doesn't really tell where, but
probably so. If it
yeah.
was a femoral, they would have just checked the femoral.
Yeah, but also when you're new and you're checking your friend's carotid, it's a +2. It's a good pulse. It's bounding. When someone's heart rate's in the 30s, it's very difficult to feel their pulse. So that even like adds to it that. Yeah. Feeling a healthy person's pulse and feeling a dummy's pulse is not the fucking same as someone who's about to code on you. Yeah. It's very difficult to feel it when you're brand new. Yeah. I remember one of my first codes, We had already started coding the patient. We checked for a pulse and I couldn't feel it in the femoral. I grabbed the Doppler and I was moving it around like a lot. And I remember this other senior nurse was next to me. He was like, he was kind of a dick, but he was trying to teach me. He was like, stop moving so much. You have to go slower. You're never going to hear it if you move it, move it, move it, move it, move it. But I was thinking I was going to hear it just like right away.
Yeah.
He took over and place. And also, you don't move it up here. You slowly move
Yeah.
up, 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 around.
Because it has a ton of feedback whenever you move it around.
Yes, and so I got what he was saying, but the stuff comes with time. Like we don't learn the same on a dummy or our classmates that who we're checking things on as a person who is actually dying.
Yeah, because if you're, there's a good chance if you're putting in a central line, you're probably in the ICU or some sort of higher level of care.
Right.
And so it's tough because all those nurses are kind of seasoned with that type of stuff. So it doesn't feel good to freeze in that situation. But
especially with a doctor. But like also this is where I come back to like I wouldn't treat a new doctor or resident that way. So like don't treat a new grad that way. If you're listening and you're a doctor, try not to be a dick to people who are new. They're fucking new and they don't know. Like you can teach them kindly. I still firmly believe that.
Yeah.
On to the next one. I had a patient with stomatitis from overdosing on her methotrexate. She was in a ton of pain. I forgot about this one. Sorry. I had a patient with stomatitis from overdosing on her methotrexate. She was in a ton of pain. I was helping her drink water and she kept saying, ow, and was saying how much it hurt, but was saying she was so thirsty. So I figured, okay, she needs more fluids and kept encouraging her multiple times throughout the day. At the end of my shift, I realized the cup had been filled with mouthwash. I had been helping this 90-year-old woman with open wounds in her mouth drink mouthwash.
Oh my God.
This makes me think the patient had some type of dementia or something as well, or some type of issue from overdosing on the methotrexate, because most people would be like, that's mouthwash.
Yeah.
Or that tastes like fucking
there's
toothpaste,
altered mental status type thing.
Yeah.
And why was there enough mouthwash in a cup to drink it throughout a whole day?
That's what I'm wondering.
How much are you giving? There should be like just a little swallow in there.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, what? That's honestly
questions.
Hilarious, though. Like, I mean, it's not hilarious. It's pretty funny because I could just feel the feeling she had when she realized after 12 hours that it was fucking mouthwash.
Yeah, that she tortured that lady for a full shift.
Oh, okay, that's why it was fucking hurting.
Salt in the wounds.
Salt in the freaking wounds. Yeah, I wonder also if it was like the cup that she'd been spitting her toothpaste and stuff in and mouthwash in, and like for some reason. Also, this is why you clean up your fucking room.
Yeah.
By the way, and I check everyone's shit. They're like, "Oh, that's water." I like look at it and I'm like, "Okay, that's water." Like because this type of shit happens. I'm sure you're not the only one that's done this.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to keep your room clean.
You are a picker, dude. I'm going to get him like a fidget spinner or something to keep in his hands. Because if he doesn't have something in his hands, he's got to be picking his nails.
It happens. I'm nervous. I still get nervous, you know?
Get nervous?
Yeah.
All right. On to the next one. I was in charge and a new grad came to me and said she needed to take out an IJ. Oh man, I already know this is going to go south. An IJ is also a central line, by the way. I was swamped and didn't have time to help her right that second, so I asked if she'd ever taken out a pig before. She said yes. I said, that's basically the same thing. Just cut the sutures.
It's not the same.
Cut the sutures first, and I gave her the quick notes of the differences. She said she knew how to remove sutures and seemed satisfied with the rest of the details. I had to run off. She then calls me on the Vocera like less than 10 minutes later saying she can't get the sutures out. I asked if it was because they're crusty or something. She said she just couldn't get them out. So I go over to the room immediately and find her with the patient sitting straight up in the armchair with her regular scissors trying to snip out the IJ sutures. I took a lot of effort, but I calmly said, those are the wrong scissors, and absolutely do not use those. I ran off to get the suture removal kit and did the rest myself. Again, though, this has to be like a COVID student. So for real.
Yeah, and they don't. This is another thing. They don't teach that in school because it's you only see it really in critical care or step down type settings. Occasionally they'll send them down to the floor with one in, but I know most floors don't like it at all. And we worked a place. This might be why we're a little bit more sensitive to this subject. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we've worked somewhere where that happened, and somebody removed a central line with them sitting straight up, and they ended up getting an air embolus
Not
and
only that,
ended up dying.
they were being discharged to go home,
Yeah,
and a floor nurse, a newer floor nurse, removed it. Yeah, she got an air embolus and she passed away. That is literally, anytime I'm removing a central line, I think of that story because it helps me remember even this small thing they could pass from,
yeah,
they could die from.
45 or lower.
Yeah, 45 degrees or lower. I like them laying flat with their head slightly up, like so I can like get to it.
Yeah,
But damn, you ain't gonna be sitting straight up. Number two, if you guys don't know, an IJ is literally a central line on your neck. It's in your jugular. Uh, when we removed those, when she was like, it was it crusty or something? It's from like blood. There's literal kits, suture removal kits. They're like this big. Every hospital I've been to, it's been the exact same kit too. And they're the tiniest little scissors with the sharpest little hook on them. And they're perfect for removing sutures. She's using her personal
medical
scissors,
cheers.
medical shears,
Yeah,
that we cut like packages open with and shit. Oh God, I can just imagine like
yeah.
so many things wrong with this, but
But it's good that they caught it when they did,
oh
because
my
if
God,
she had,
could have killed him.
yeah, if she had pulled it out,
Yeah.
yikes. And like that's pretty wild to have such an important procedure and leave the room. I don't know if you just felt confident with it or you explained it so you thought they were going to do it correctly.
Who?
The preceptor. You know, if it was something like that, the first time that they're doing it, I don't think I'm leaving the room.
No, but this also goes back to she was charged, so it's a new grad.
Charge.
It sounds
Okay.
like they're off orientation. It's not their preceptor. She doesn't
I
mention a
see.
preceptor. This is charge, and this also goes like I don't blame the person who can't come help you either because nursing is fucking. There's a shortage.
Mhm.
We do not have enough nurses per patient to be watching everybody every single time they're doing something new or what we think is their first time or second time or third time or whatever.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. It's not fair to the patients, but this is the reality of healthcare right now. There's not enough nurses to be watching all these new grads, and it's not right.
Yeah.
But it's not the nurse's fault. It's not the charge's fault.
And a lot through COVID, we had, what was our, it was like 6 month preceptorship or something like that, 3 months at least.
When we started?
When we started, yeah,
Three.
before COVID.
We had 3. I had 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months, and you could pretty easily, if you didn't feel comfortable, you could say, I'd like to extend. And during COVID, I mean, the second that you were able to take a patient on your own and you were semi-competent, they're throwing you out. Like,
Yep.
you're done. There was some that were like 6 weeks,
Yeah.
8 weeks, and
Yeah.
and they have you on your own. So, these types of things are just bound to happen.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I mean, I could go on a rant and have several episodes deep about the state of healthcare in the United States. I know it's not good everywhere, but the United States is quite interesting to me as a first world country. Going on to the next one. I was pretty new and was in a rush to get a urine sample from a patient with a Foley catheter before shift change. Got the sample, sent it. Came back the next morning, and the PM nurse goes, "Oh, hey, so weird. The patient's Foley fell out last night. Her bed was wet right when I came on shift." And
Oh my God. I already know what they did.
look at their urine results. So weird, totally clean. Her urine was thick, cloudy, and smelled awful. So that clearly wasn't right.
Probably almost looked like water, didn't it?
Then she just stared at me until I figured out what I did. Apparently, I sent the saline from the Foley balloon instead of taking a sample from the port. I deflated the balloon and sent the contents. Oops. She was super nice about it, though, and didn't tell anyone else as far as I knew. Never did that again. Again, no, that's harmless. I mean, yes, you do have to reinsert a Foley, which kind of fucking sucks for the patient, but in the grand scheme of things, that's fairly harmless.
Yeah, and it's another one of those things. At least in our school that we went to, I don't remember going through like the finer points of Foley catheters. We inserted them and everything, but
Yeah.
like
you
we
do it
talked about the
once.
balloons and stuff. Yeah, it's and like I'm sure you feel dumb afterwards because the port to draw urine from literally is built into the actual tube. And
Yeah, but again, when you're overwhelmed,
yeah, you just don't know.
port's a port. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, there it is. But also, after you do that, you do realize the port for the balloon literally says inflate. Doesn't it say inflate on it?
I think
Or it
so.
says
Yeah.
balloon. It says something on it that triggers you to know that's the balloon in there. I think
Yeah.
it says inflate.
Well, and some of them have there's the inflation port, and then some have flush ports.
But
Some
it'll
do
still
not, and you
flush.
just flush through the sample site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's hilarious though. Like
Yeah.
from the nurse's point of view, it's like if I were to walk in and find that, I'd be like, what the?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd never heard of that one before, but yeah, I could totally see that happening, especially if you're in a hurry.
I think it's kind of cute. I've got a lot of stories, so we're just kind of moving through them. Next one. Cutting my finger on the cutting my finger on the pill cutter badly, bleeding everywhere, all over the computer, the floor, the patient's meds, trying to back out of the room, and then having to leave the floor to go get stitches. What'd you do? I cut my finger on the pill cutter.
I don't.
I
I don't
don't.
know entirely how you go about cutting yourself really bad with that. It's sharp, like it's a sharp. Maybe it was like wide open.
Yeah, I don't know if it's one of those blue ones. Like, there's so many different types of pill cutters and crushers in healthcare. But those little rectangular blue ones, they're fucking hard to open. What if you're like, ooh, and your finger gets stuck in it and like reflex happens and then you go back down and you cut your finger? I could totally see that happening because those
Yeah,
are so hard to open and shut.
yeah, and it's just like it's a razor blade
It's
just glued
yeah,
inside of it, and that's what the pill cutter is. So
right.
yeah, if you like left it the jaw like wide open, I could see you like cutting your finger on it.
But then, like, I would be like trying to hide it from everybody on the unit. I've got to fix this before anyone sees all my blood everywhere because then you have to
Yeah,
explain how you did it, which is like, it's nothing, there's no big story to it. It's just, I fucking cut myself on the pill cutter.
I feel like that's because there's been times in the room that it's like my fifth trip in there. I keep forgetting stuff, and I need to open like a flagell or a potassium chloride, and like it will not rip. Yeah, everybody, anybody that works, you know what I'm talking about. It is so hard to open,
I
and you don't have
hate
your
those.
scissors on you, so you're like looking around the room for something sharp.
What can I
You're
use?
just like trying to, get it like cut it on like a corner of the room or something like that.
I like the blunt tips. I
Yes,
use
yeah,
those
I'll
for
run a blunt tip
everything.
through there.
I'm like, not the thick, not like in the potassium bags though. You can't open those without scissors. People that open those without scissors, I'm like, how did you do that?
Yeah, if you tear it perfectly, it works. But if it like tears sideways at all, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You need something
No,
else.
I use blunt tips for much more than pulling out medication
Yeah,
and not administering. We do not administer with blunt tips. That's
I
one of
am
my
injections.
no IM injections. Jesus Christ. Which by the way, that was a lot of the write-ins. So many people have administered medications with a fucking blunt tip. That was one of my first. If you guys go look at my TikTok, that was one of my first embarrassing new grad stories because so many of them were administering with a fucking blunt tip.
That's insane. That's insane. The
So
You would
bad.
have to push so hard to get that into somebody's arm.
Oh my. Well, think of the force. Like, that hurts. If you don't know what a blunt tip is, it's literally all it is a thick ass needle that is sharp on one side of it to literally poke through a medication container and pull out what's in it. That
Yeah.
is what it's for.
It's kind of it's sharp enough to do
To
that.
do that.
It's not nowhere near as sharp as a true needle.
Right. But it's still sharp enough to penetrate your skin with enough force. That's why I'm like,
Well,
how
yeah,
hard are they
most
going?
things are sharp enough with enough force.
I just can't imagine like
Yeah.
the patient. I would be pissed if I was that patient. That would hurt so bad. How big is that gauge? It's huge.
Oh,
Like 16? It's not
it's got to
more.
be 16 or 14.
It's a thick ass needle. Like
Yeah.
that's why all this saying that I was like, no, that's so bad, dude.
Yeah,
But
that's
you know what?
crazy.
That's one of those that, again, you'll never do it again. You'll never do it again. I fucking hope you'll never do it again.
Yeah.
Next one. I was a new grad in the ICU. A patient was coding and they yelled to grab the crash cart. I was closest to the cart. I couldn't figure out how to unlock the wheels, so I dragged it across the unit with the wheels locked, making the loudest noise and marks on the floor. But I got them the cart. Okay, that's better than me not knowing what the fucking crash cart was.
Yeah, I think there's certain people that are kind of like, all right, let's do what we need to do. There's an emergency, and some people just freak out.
I
It's
mean,
all units. There's somebody, you get both types on every
but
unit.
she was a new grad too. A new
Yeah,
grad in the ICU with a code. That shit's scary
sure.
because
Yeah.
again, we're seeing codes on dummies in school. It's not real, you know? With a real person, it's real. It's fucking real. And so you're like, "Oh shit." Not being able to, and then you're panicking, like you said, like
Mhm.
you're panicking, you can't figure out how to unlock the wheels, which I'm pretty sure it's just the brake on the wheel, like, but there's
Yeah.
probably four of them.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, feel you there, honestly. But hey, at least you got it to them. I had to go run around and ask somebody what the fucking crash cart was when someone asked me to grab it. I was like, I know this is important because this person's dying. What's the crash cart? I got the dumbest look ever,
Oh,
but like no one had ever showed me. I had never worked in healthcare before. I wasn't a nurse. I was a nurse tech, but
it's a
still
tough one.
pretty tough life out there. I was like, damn. These are just some comments from the TikToks that I've been posting. And so they're not full stories, but they're just little blurbs. I worked in a hospital where a nurse flushed a PICC line with Pepsi. She thought because you can do this to a G tube, you can with a PICC.
Uh, I
I hope that nurse is not listening because what the fuck are you thinking? A
yeah.
PICC line goes to someone's bloodstream.
So
A gastric tube goes to someone's stomach. Okay, that's why you can flush it with Pepsi,
yeah, and it's common to use
Coke, or Pepsi.
pop. Yeah, it was like a kind of more of an old school nursing thing. They'll
We
use
don't.
that to
Yeah,
clear out. They have other things now, and they have stuff to clear out a PICC line, but it is a medication and it is not a soft drink.
and you're not supposed to just flush it with that medication.
No,
You
no,
let it sit there.
it's
That's
just a
another thing
dwell.
we
Yeah.
should harp on while we're on this topic. Um, two things. PICC line, like I said, that's like peripherally inserted central catheter. Um, you don't flush with pop. That's going into someone's bloodstream. Like
I guess it's kind of like bicarb and a little bit of sugar, maybe,
that's
might have fixed
so
them.
bad. And again, like a G tube, peg tube, what are other names? I mean, they're going in different spots, but they're all stomach tubes.
Yeah.
Um, that one's rough. That's the roughest one I feel like we've read. Where I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's
you literally didn't have common sense going into that room.
no, that's crazy.
That's crazy. That's like
And this is
that's the
another
most.
thing. If you're a new grad, it don't feel like you're going to be annoying, even if people are responding poorly to all your questions. Ask questions. Ask the question you think is dumb. Ask the question that you're 99% sure of. Ask questions always, because it keeps you from making these types of mistakes.
Hell yeah. If me to this day, if you've ever worked with me, I bet you've heard me ask a quote unquote stupid question because my mind loves playing like second guessing itself.
Mhm.
Always. I'm like, "Oh yeah, is this what I do?" And I have to like really like I don't want to kill somebody. I don't want to harm somebody. So I don't give a fuck if someone's literally talking about me in the break room about something I asked. At least I fucking asked and didn't kill this person. This could probably kill somebody. They said in the comments that the patient was fine, but
Yeah.
this could probably kill somebody. You're putting a bunch of fucking sugar pop. Like who knows? It's not sterile. Like
Yeah.
I don't that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's dangerous.
There's
That's
something else we talked about. Sorry, just cut you off.
you're good.
There's common sense and there's critical thinking. Critical thinking can come with time. It does come with time. The longer you're a nurse, especially in like a critical setting, you're going to get more confidence with your critical thinking skills.
Mhm.
Or you're not, and it's not for you.
Yeah.
Common sense. If you don't have common sense, you should not be a nurse. I fully agree with that. Common sense you cannot learn.
Yeah.
Some people are book smart and don't have common sense. I still don't think you should be a nurse
Mhm.
because this type of shit happens with people without common sense. Even knowing, well, this is a port, it's clogged, but it goes in their bloodstream, and you still chose to put it in. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, not getting that far doing something you've never heard of, because there's no way you've ever heard of that happening without asking a question. That's the part that's kind of
It's
unforgivable.
dangerous.
Yeah.
And again, without asking a question, because I promise you, I've asked dumb questions. I will still ask dumb questions up to this day. Like, and I can't even imagine the quote unquote dumb questions I asked as a new grad.
Yeah.
I don't care, and I still believe like there is no dumb question. I'm one of those people like there no question is a stupid question because people's lives are in our hands. I'd
Yeah.
rather you ask than kill. So, yeah, moving on. One time I took a Daytrona patch off of a kid having an allergic reaction. If you don't know what a Daytrona patch is, that's pretty much a medication patch that's like Adderall. It's for people with ADHD. Turns out it wasn't in the trash, but on my elbow all day. I had so much energy and a write up.
I love any story about getting some sort of medicine patch on you. They're all so funny.
Okay, but who wrote this girl up? Shut the fuck up. You suck.
Yeah.
If people write people up for shit like that, I find that ew, 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 as if you've never made a fucking mistake. A write up for that is ridiculous.
Yeah. I also like I think I've worked with somebody that was taking a fentanyl patch off and it like flipped back and hit their arm all day. They went and like washed it. They're like in tears. They thought they just overdosed. And I was like, it takes a lot more of that to
You
sink
gotta
in.
chew on it to overdose on it.
Yeah, I mean it's
Like, I'm pretty sure addicts chew on those.
yeah, people get freaked out because they hear the stories about like nitro paste. That's another story that can get in. I've heard of people passing out pretty quickly.
Uh, Also, I always say this medication wrong. Scopolamine
Yeah.
patches.
Uh-huh.
You touch those, you blow a pupil. You know, like your pupil can.
Really?
It can, yeah. It can
I didn't know that.
dilate,
Huh.
or is it contract? I think it's dilate. I
You
think if
you
touch
got to
them,
tell you need to tell the story about your house MD moment, your Sherlock Holmes moment.
ooh, with the nitro.
Yeah.
All right. So, I also have a video about nitro paste because that's also a very common thing people pass out from. I had a patient that, sorry, previous day, it wasn't my patient, but we called a code blue on the patient's husband that had passed out in the hallway, apparently was unresponsive, and called a code blue on him. Next day, I had this patient and I met her husband and everything. He seemed fine. He was very athletic for his age. He was very healthy. All the, no health problems that I could see. And I was like, interesting. I wonder why we called a code blue on him. That makes no sense if you saw him. Throughout the day, I finally got to my medication order where I needed to rub nitro paste on her, two of her fingers on her left hand. Her fingers were kind of dying, I guess we would say. There was no blood flow to them because of all of the medication she was on, Levophed was on, all the stuff. She'd been on it for so long. Her fingers were black, so we were putting nitro paste on them to hopefully bring some blood flow to them. And I realized right then in that moment, he sits on the left side. He holds her hand on the left side. He had been holding her hand with the nitro paste on it. No one had left the card on it. No one had put a glove over her hand. And he had passed out from the fucking nitro paste. I felt so like, ding ding, like
Yeah.
light bulb went off. Literally during rounds, the doctor had asked about her husband. I said he was fine. I said, I'm actually going to educate him on why we shouldn't be touching her left hand and maybe he should sit on the right side of her. And I told the doctor all about it, that, hey, the patient's been holding that hand with the nitro paste. And he was just like, oh, good job. I was like,
Smarty.
right. I feel like a little detective right now. But it was just like this moment where I was like, oh my God.
Mhm.
Like, just the smallest amount of that. And like I said, he was thin, healthy. I bet it just dropped his blood pressure like no other,
Yeah.
and his heart rate. And he was out.
Yeah, because it's nitro and nitro paste. It dilates your vessels. So if like a normal healthy person got the paste on their hands, your vessels would dilate, your blood pressure drops,
You're gonna
and
pass out.
yeah, if your heart doesn't compensate in time, then yeah, you're gonna pass out.
Right. I actually think they should have just called a rapid on him. I don't think he lost a pulse. I think they jumped the gun. But it was probably
Yeah.
just scared. No one knew. No one knew why. And I wasn't over there when that happened. I just heard it. But it's very interesting. I mean, how often people are putting nitro on without fucking gloves. And this just goes to say, if you do put nitro on somebody and their family doesn't know, you should tell them. But I like to leave that little card on top of the paste.
Yeah.
That's what it's for as well. You can leave it there or put a glove over their hand and just write nitro paste on the glove. Like, I like to let people know, like, do not take this off. Like, you will pass out. But yeah, I don't, side note, and a write-up, I just am like, I'm so not the person that's going to write someone up unless it is literally, unless you put your patient in harm's way and it was so stupid. That's the only time. I think I've only written someone up once in my
Yeah.
whole career because most of the time it's stupid bullshit.
Yeah.
It is. Most of the
Yeah.
time it's like it's in, sorry you got wrote up. Sorry, that's a whole nother tangent I clearly could go on.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the next one's about nitropase as well. Initially, nitropase came in a bigger tube. I came into a patient's room because their heart rate was in the 30s. Someone had been using nitropase as barrier cream.
Oh my God.
You could kill that's probably a write up right there. Like you
Yeah.
could kill somebody.
Nitro paste on your gooch.
On your, oh, on your gooch,
Whoa, no.
not on taint Lee.
Yeah, Jesus, and that's like
Like
very absorptive area. You're gonna,
read the container.
yeah, you could have killed him.
Read the maybe this is why it comes in such a small tube now, by the way, as well, because it doesn't come
Yeah.
in a big tube. It comes in like a toothpaste tube. It's like this big, a small toothpaste tube.
You put on their butthole.
Put it on their cheeks, man. Like, I bet. Does it burn?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I've never put it on. That's pretty bad though. Like, and
Yeah, that's
also,
scary.
what a detective moment right there. Like being like, hold on, it's probably by all the wipes and shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Barrier cream. We use barrier cream for people's, like especially if people are soiling themselves a lot or there's a lot of moisture down there. We're trying to create a barrier from the moisture to their skin. Using nitro down there is pretty bad.
That's
pretty
a new one.
embarrassing.
Yeah, that's not one I'd heard before.
I've never heard that one.
That's
I
wild.
kind of want to reenact that. That'd be
Oh yeah, I'm sure that'd be social media friendly.
This has been my favorite comment so far. It's the last one too. A patient died. I was told to go into the patient's room and grab something. I forgot what now. When I peeked in, I saw the dead patient talking. I freaked out and ran to tell my preceptor, it's a ghost or something. My preceptor ran to the room I pointed at. She looked confused and said to me, honey, this is the wrong room. It's room 4113, not 4112.
Oh my God. That's how you know, like you always talk about overwhelm. You know you're overwhelmed whenever you see somebody talking and the first thing you think is zombies and not I might have the wrong room. That's how you know you're in over. Yeah, you need to go take a few deep breaths.
It's so funny. Like this one, like I remember commenting, I said, this is hilarious. Like this is the cutest thing I've ever read because like exactly. They're so overwhelmed they think, oh, ghost.
Yeah.
Not is this the right room? They're fucking sitting up in their bed, monitors connected. Like
Yeah.
there's no I will say when you are that overwhelmed, there is no common sense.
Well, and we grow up. A lot of the reasons I think that a lot of us are nurses, you grew up watching Scrubs or Grey's Anatomy or anything like that. So and it's so dramatic. So you think like it makes everybody like what's the saying? You hear hoofbeats and you think zebras.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of people like, oh, there's no way I have the wrong room. They're a zombie. You know that makes more sense. It's just.
It's cute. It's cute. Like
Oh, yeah, totally cute.
I think it's so cute. I wish that happened to me. I wish I had a nursing student or a new grad that said that to me. That would just make my freaking day. Like, poor girl really thought, and how scary too. Because not only do you like, okay, we thought ghosts, but like we also hear about hauntings in the hospital and shit. So many people die, and there are fucking spirits sitting around in there. That's creepy.
Yeah, it's there. I know, like doing like post-mortem cares can be a little eerie at
It
times.
can be eerie, especially when their eyes just open. You're, ugh! Like it's a little scary. It's a little scary. It should be a time of like respect and whatnot. You should be respecting their body, but it's still a little creepy because it's a dead body in there.
Yeah, it's a strange job.
Especially if you do believe in ghosts and shit, like which once October comes around, we're having more spooky season because I love those stories, but they are creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got for you. There were so many more. There's so many more to come. But if you guys like this episode, let me know because this was what 12, 13 stories, and like there's so many more. They're just so funny, and some of them again not so funny. Where you're like, what the fuck are they thinking?
Yeah, I think this will definitely we'll have to have a round 2 of these.
Yeah, round 3 really. Let's see. I was going to ask you guys, I'm doing confessions on my Instagram story every Sunday, Sunday confessionals, and those are also really, really good. And they're just anonymous confessions from people, things that they've done. Some are healthcare related, and some are definitely not. And
You guys need Jesus.
I need Jesus because some I'm like, what the fuck? If you guys want an episode on that, let me know. But you can go leave your confessions on our new Reddit page. It's r/whiteboard confessions. I was trying to do whiteboard confessionals, but it was too long. So right?
Yeah.
r/whiteboard confessions. You can leave those there. Maybe I'll put a new grad. Like I don't know Reddit that well, so Jared's gonna have to help me. But maybe there can be like
You do like a mega thread, a new grad mega thread.
okay, and that because those could also be anonymous, and they're pretty much confessions as well. Like, hey, this happened to me, but I kind of want to put these all in one spot so I don't lose them because I'm telling you, like for now, you can send me your stories on like I said, on fne@leadhealth.com, or you can DM me them. But I'm trying to get a lot of it on that Reddit page. So r/whiteboard confessions. The link will be in the description. But that's all we've got for you this season. Jared and I are on a new venture. We are moving to Arizona in literally like 2 weeks. Three weeks, I think.
Yeah.
We're selling the RV. We already sold the truck. We're selling the RV. We are getting out of this bitch. We've been living in the RV for 4 years.
Yeah. 4 years. Got a special place in my heart.
It does. It has a very special place in my heart, but I'm ready to carve a new place in my heart.
I think I've fit a full lifetime of camping, glamping.
Yeah, we're growing out of it. We're over it. We want a house. We are going to rent for now, but Arizona's always been kind of on our radar. So we're purposely going to live in the summer in Arizona in a house with AC and a pool to see if we can live in Arizona throughout the hottest time of the year.
And then we've got an eyeball on Denver that might come at some point.
We're thinking, this is our plan right now, 6 months in Arizona, specifically through the extreme weather, and then 6 months in Colorado, specifically through their extreme weather during the winter. We'll see if we make it to that, because we're just getting like over bouncing around, to be quite honest. Travel nursing isn't necessarily leaving us, but we want a place to call home, and our home in Arkansas doesn't feel like home. So that's just a house. So we're trying to find our home. That's what we're doing next. Yeah, guys, that's all I've got for you. Thank you so much for giving me a season 2, and we're working on season 3. Pretty crazy. I thank you guys for your support. Seriously, it means the world to me. All your positive comments really hit home. They give me so much good feelings, and you have no idea, because sometimes it feels like the hate can outweigh the positive, but I always enjoy your guys' kind words. Please leave a review on the podcast, even if it isn't so kind. I love taking some critiquing. I love to critique where we need to, and yeah.
Yeah, because it helped that one critique we got that said it was disjointed and kind of all over the place. We've made things more streamlined.
Yeah,
and
tried to. Hopefully it came across that way. But I'm definitely trying to do themes and trying to be more, I don't know, in a line. I don't know. I can't think.
You're kind of finding your voice and coming into your own, and I'm proud of you. You've done a good job.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Daddy. All right. That's all I got for you guys. Until next time. Bye.
See you guys.